Hey guys, it's Quickie Baby, and I'm playing in the IS-2. This is the Tier 7 Chinese heavy tank, and as you can see, this is a very interesting matchup. Look how many Tier 7 heavies are on the enemy team. That is a lot of hit points on either side. Unfortunately, Matchmaker has been a little troll, and we do have a 35%er here to deal with. I feel like Moses, my team being the Sea of Red, we will part them and carry them through this game, hopefully. So right now what I'm thinking on Muravanka is I really need to get into a strong position where I'm able to do as much as I can against the enemy without taking many hits. So, considering that this is a regular game, the opportunity for me to get up to the A1/B1 area, it's quite good. I wasn't initially thinking about going up there, I was thinking about going around this corner as you see. But this is where I decide, right, I've got an opportunity, let's take it. I'm going to go the long way to make sure that I don't get caught out. They do have quite good medium tanks, and as you can see there... Right, just to pause for a second. If I had continued the route and gone up there, I would have got caught and I would have died. That's it, I would have died right there. I decided that it was safer to pull all the way back. Why? Because they have a Cromwell and a T21 who are not that bad of players, and it's very likely that they're going to poke the mid-ridge to try and get spots for their team. So, managing to escape the first pitfall of bad decision making that I could have made, took the safe option, and now I'm progressing up on the hill. You can see that our Hellcat has already managed to get himself executed. Fortunately for us, we've got a nice even balance of teams. We've got a lot of heavy tanks in the forest, and we've got a bunch of heavy tanks below me. So I stop here. This could be a bit dubious. I fire clutch because I really wanted to get out of that situation because I knew I was vulnerable from the flank. And great. T29 hits my gun, and if you guys know about these 122mm Russian guns, you'll know that with a broken gun, you are not going to be doing very much at all. So I keep coming back round the corner to try and poke some shots. Really want to start the damage. Fortunately, he disappears just as we fires. And looks like the shell waffed, basically. Now, this kind of a position is more about just looking after my health and providing a different kind of angle. Because the enemy don't have any artillery, this position is fairly strong at the moment. The only bad thing about this position is the fact that I'm in an IS-2. Now, it's a tank that doesn't have much gun depression, which makes it quite difficult to aim at the enemy sometimes. And also, I'm using 122mm, which is not the best of guns for trying to do this kind of work. However, we can see that I'm able to hide most of my tank, but that doesn't matter because the T29 went straight through my gun mandlet, as we can see there. So I'm going to continue to try and rain death down upon my opponents from the high ground. There we go, nice hit. Great. I feel that this is the best position I could have taken this tank. I'm requesting that the guy in front of me falls back, although you can't see that in the chat. That gentleman is being far too aggressive because it's undoubtable that there will be people like that KV-3 chilling at the back. So we put a big shot there into that KV-3. And we're managing to absorb some punishment from below. It's quite hard for the enemies to actually really damage me from shooting up at me, if I'm honest with you. As you can see, they're starting to bounce a little bit off my gun mantlet. We were unable to go through the side of that KV-3 from this range. There's no harm in trying. We're going to keep going for him and keep trying to penetrate his armor. There we go. Brilliant result. Man, those KV-3s have got a hell of a lot of health. 1,400. If you watched a video which I just released a few weeks ago about the IS-2, you would have seen that I highlighted just what the difference is between the Tiger tank and the IS-2. The 1,500 health you get on the Tiger really makes you feel that quite low IS-2 health of 1,280. So right, I did not expect this game to go this well. Fair enough, both of the SU-122-44 drivers are alive on the enemy team, and they're the people who are making this matchup the matchup that it is. As we can see, they're killing their way through the forest. They've secured 4 kills between themselves already. But we've done some pretty darn good work on this flank. So realizing that there was very little opportunity for me now back up there, I've made the advance. I think I've done it at the right time. I was maybe a touch too slow. If I'd got here a little earlier, I could have supported the forest a little better. Fortunately, the forest is now down to only having one tank in there versus two very skilled players in the T-29. You can see me having a bit of trouble there with the gun depression on the IS-2. We've managed to get ourselves into a good position now to open up some fire on this Tiger tank. Knowing that that Tiger tank is probably just going to get killed, I've decided to focus up fire on the forest. And definitely these SU-122-44s. We could see him just turning right there, and I put a huge shot into him. That's a huge result. Hopefully I can hit him again. Oh, that one was an important shot. Unfortunately, it didn't go right. So here we can see Captain Shepard. We're going to try and give him some pain from range. We fire blind at him. And now we can see that my team have decided to locate quite aggressively. That's good. They're going to go defend the cap. Gives me an opportunity to engage from range. Beautiful hit there on the T-29. And now we can see that the KV-3 is trying to poke me. I've got spotted. I get a nice bounce off there, but I don't manage to bounce the KV-3 by Captain Shepard. And unfortunately, the SU-122s are definitely ripping apart that IS who just got too far forward there. All right. So I've decided that I've got two flanks to my south. We can't get surrounded. I have to play aggressively. My plan is to kill this flank as quickly as I can, and then maybe I can go back and try and take out those SU-122-44s who have now got 7 kills between them. But I wouldn't expect any less, having one of the highest DPM tanks at tier 7. Both played by very skilled players in this kind of a matchup. So you see me trying to angle my armor along the gun lines. I have loaded heat rounds now because this game is damn close. Having that 250 millimeters of heat penetration didn't do anything for me there. We were unable to penetrate the target. I'm going backwards and forwards to try and dodge the guy. Fortunately, it doesn't work and he takes my track out. Now I'm just aiming for his cheeks, trying to avoid his mantlet. And there we go. We put a clean shot into him. Now I'm reloading, trying to go backwards and forwards to try and get him to miss. We do get him to miss, then I go back to try and shoot him. I see the Tiger and I decide that's the better kill. Unfortunately, another heat shell just whacks. So I angle my armor now, and I get very lucky being left on 1 health and start to reverse up this slope. I decide that this Tiger is the guy I want to kill. So I put one into him, knowing that this KV-3 is not the fastest of tanks. I'm in control of the situation. This is where the IS-2 is great. What you're seeing here is a situation where the IS-2 is a very strong tank, able to go forwards and backwards very quickly. There's only one IS now holding up the other flank, and I'm just hunting for this KV-3, hunting for his cupola. We don't have it, so I decide to change the angle again. Now I see that there's an SU-122-44 on the map. Okay, one thing that we can do is make an attack. We nail him. We've got to keep running. Got to keep running. I'm reloading. This isn't good. Now I decide to duck in behind this Tiger tank, and this is where you're seeing that the... Oh my gosh. Just going to pause it here. So, just to say, that is where the IS-2 is a good tank. Now, that didn't look like a tier 7 heavy tank, did it? In the fact that I was able to relocate so quickly. We're able to flank round, kill the KV-3 on the move, and position, use the amazing track traverse to angle in here against the Tiger, to give ourselves a pretty darn hard angle for the SU-122 to try and engage us. Now the SU-122, seeing that I was angled, basically hiding most of my armor on the tank, came round and tried to fire at me. He donked his shot up close. That's really good for me. I put a clutch shot into him, and fortunately for me, he didn't think about ramming me, which is really surprising because this on paper is a 1400 efficiency player. I would have expected him to just ram me and just secure the game, but maybe he didn't want to die. Maybe he thought that if he rammed me that he would die as well, and then leave it in the hands of the fight that's going on the other flank. That's what he probably thought. He was thinking, oh my gosh, I shouldn't ram this guy because his tank's pretty darn heavy. I might lose all my health. Maybe I'll kill him with the ram, but I also might kill myself. So what he decided to do is to stop and try and fire at me. That's the only explanation that I can think, because otherwise an intelligent player, well, a skilled player such as himself would have just rammed me to death there. If it was a 2v1, for example. If the KV3 was still alive, he should have just rammed me to death. But he didn't, because he probably didn't want to leave the KV3 in a 1v1 in the other situation. Let's continue. So what you see me doing here, just to pause, is very important. When you're trying to stop somebody from ramming you, you need to angle your tank at 45 degrees and give them your track. And what's important about this is that the track can actually absorb some of the ramming. And as long as they don't hit a flat surface, then it doesn't actually count as a strong collision. Also, you see me reversing backwards as fast as I can to try and reduce the speed of the engagement. I want to reduce the speed of the engagement, aka how fast he can ram me. So I'm just making it soft. And there we go. I don't take any damage, and he takes 42 damage. And also, thank goodness, this guy just totally donked his shot again. He fired right over my hull. That poor guy. But I'm not bothered about that. All I'm bothered about, the fact is that he's dead and I'm not. Now, unfortunately for me, that was my last heat shell. Now I'm looking at to see how the IS is doing. And I'm thinking maybe that IS is just going to kite him around the building. The KV3 can't catch him after all, and oh god, he started to cap. Now, sorry, he died. Now, one thing that's interesting is you can see on the minimap that the KV3 is actually going this way. All right. Now this is very important. Watch the enemy's movements before they disappear. The KV3 is going north. All right. So I'm thinking at that moment, all right, this is what's going through my mind. That KV3 was going north. He might be a donkey, and I wouldn't put it past him that he was going to start to try and go towards the cap. Okay? So I have to, in this kind of a situation, you've got a few things that are going through your mind. One, the guy could be just a donkey and he could be going to the cap. If that's the case, then I should probably just sit here. Because I've got 1 health left. All he really has to do is either lightly bump into me or hit me with an HE shell and I'm dead. So I'd be quite happy to just cap this game out and just secure the win, because this has been such an intense, stressful game. But oh my god, that KV3 was hella fast. Now this is a bit of a mistake that I made. I'll tell you what I was going through my mind. What was going through my mind is that these bushes, if I stay here, I can't see through them. All right? And what I'm thinking is that I knew that he only had 244 health left because I was looking at when he last killed the IS. Right. If I'd stayed here, I wouldn't have been able to see through these bushes. Or maybe I could have seen through this gap here, but that was a bit too much. That's only in like, in this kind of a situation, looking back on the game, that I can really think about that. So maybe I should have looked through this bush here to be able to spot the KV3. But what I was thinking with my movements out here was that I have better camera rating than the KV3 if I'm stationary, especially. And I'll be able to spot him before he spots me, and then I'll get the drop on him, and I'll be able to kill him before he reaches me. I was quite impressed at how fast that KV3 was able to basically reverse around and just absolutely bolt it down the south of the map. It's clear that this guy definitely has that top engine on that KV3, and he's absolutely moving like a beast. So right now I've been basically caught out of position, but I still haven't been spotted quite yet. Oh, I have been spotted, and I'm aiming for his lower plate. You guys can't actually see this because, there you go, there's the outline. You actually have to have your mouse over. I'm aiming for his lower plate. The shell hits flush on his lower plate. It just doesn't work. And the angle that he's at, it's not effective to shoot his side armor. So what am I doing now? I'm reversing because I believe I'm still spotted. And he's just gone stealth. He must be behind this bush still. So he can see through the bush and be able to see me. So staying still, in my opinion, when he's shooting at me, you could argue it either way. You could argue it, stay still, you'll re-stealth, and then he'll have to come at you again to spot you. My thinking was, however, I want to try and go backwards and forwards to try and get him to miss a shell. And we could hear that he actually missed, and it whizzed past and hit behind me. So now you see me see him again. Going to aim in. We've got the drop on him again. He couldn't see us. He was aiming his gun over here. Going to aim for his lower plate again. Ouch, 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 ouch. So, just to show you here, that's where that our shell hit. Basically, probably one of the only parts on his frontal armor. If it had gone slightly higher, it would have hit the MG port on the front and penetrated. If it had gone slightly lower, it would have hit his lower plate and it would have penetrated. It's just a shame that I fired all the heat rounds in that tricky situation. I didn't have any to guarantee the kill at the end of the game. And that was it. That was a pretty brutal heartbreak, guys, for the IS-2. If any of you are watching my live stream, you know I was pretty damn sad after this one. And definitely go and check out my twitch.tv/QuickieBaby page if you want to see the highlight of this and see exactly how I reacted as it happened. Anyway, guys, let's take a look at some post-game stats. So here are the post-game stats in the IS-2. We can see we're able to get 80,000 credits and a 1,872 experience defeat. This was an absolute heartbreak game for me. It was a 35%er. It was a game that I had to have a big role in. And while I didn't play the game flawlessly, I felt that I gave it a pretty darn good go. We got double what the next guy got in experience and in damage. We in fact got more experience than any of the enemy tanks. And due to a little bit of heartbreaking RNG at the end of the game, we were taken out and we lose. We fired 23 shots, of which 21 hit the target, but only 14 penetrated. We spent quite a lot of credits on heat ammo, and we only really needed one more to be able to take out the KV-3 at the end of the game. Doing 4,300 damage, taking 10 hits, of which 6 penetrated. You can really see that the armor of the IS-2, whereas it can be slightly effective, it's not brilliant. Thinking back on the game, I've been really thinking quite hard as to how I could have maybe handled the situation differently. I could have let the other guy cap, and I could have gone into the forest and snuck through the forest and used one of the bushes to be able to get the jump on him. However, the risk that this had was that he might have not gone for the cap, and he might have been able to get the jump on me while I was getting there. Also, he might have been a complete muppet, and he might not have gone for the cap at all. He might have been quite happy to just go hunting for me and try and draw out the game. One thing I also could have done when I was capping is put myself in a position so that I could have easily left the cap and then turned it into what I would call a skilled engagement, where I could have gone up on the ridgeline, maybe used bushes to be able to outplay him. What I really did at the end there, even though I fired my shots in the correct positions of the enemy tank, I had run out of heat rounds because of this very stressful game, and also really put it in the hands of RNG. Here we're looking at the frontal armor of the KV-3. This is the kind of angle that the guy was at. We can see that his lower plate was 100 millimeters, and the downwards angle of it is not impressive at all. I think initially the first shot that I fired at him, he was angled like this, and he basically had enough angle on his lower plate to be able to bounce the shot. The second one that hit him, he was angled more or less like this, and our shot basically hit this very well angled mid plate, this kind of shot catch, which I would call it's basically a shot catch. Hit here and went off. It could have easily gone up into his MG port. It could have easily gone onto his vision slit at the front, or it could have just smashed his lower plate, and we would have definitely won the game. Sometimes RNG is going to take it away from you, but I guess I really left it in the hands of RNG. I think the tactic that I chose to try and get the drop on him might have been more valid if I had a very high penetration gun. I think what I should have done is lured him towards the cap and then escaped. There would have been a slight risk during that little time that it would have taken me to escape from the cap circle off and to the side once I spotted him. And considering I only had one shot, he could have just fired even an HE shell, and all it would have had to do is glance my tank, and it would have been able to take me out. Anyway, guys, I could talk about this for ages. All I really know is this was an absolute heartbreak of a game for me. Sometimes RNG is going to rob you of a victory which you feel like you deserved. But I was happy that I really gave this round my best shot. One thing I will say is don't really trust the IS-2's armor. It's completely RNG whether it works or not. And definitely don't trust The 122mm is pretty awful with regards to RNG. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this, why not consider rating it down below? I'd really appreciate it. And tell me what you think about my performance in the comments. Did I make an obvious mistake at the end? Or do you think that basically it was the KV3's day and I wasn't meant to win this round? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic. Hopefully I'll see you soon.